We are live on a late Mindset Monday. Let me refresh. And we are good.
Good to go.
We're doing this late show. A lot of issues today. I forgot to tell you too. I also had car issues. I'm like, dude. So I didn't even know I was gonna be able to get home on time to get
What
this
happened
thing
in your
done.
car?
It's because first off, there's like a recall on some electrical issues on it.
Oh, okay.
And I've been busy sourcing. I've been out there doing stuff, and I'm like, I
So you
have to
just didn't
take it.
bother.
So I
You didn't
haven't
bother.
taken it,
And
and
then
I need to. Well, because I think it's also like having issues with the battery because
it's
it's all
draining it.
electrical.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
draining it. So
So
what happened?
battery died again,
Oh,
and I have to go. I have to go this week, no matter what.
right.
So
I mean, just drop it off, right? You can drop it off, right?
yeah, I could drop it off. Get an
Yeah.
Uber to the nearest Marshalls or Burlington.
Whatever. Just
Go.
take your wife's car. Just steal your wife's car.
Just go source while you just figure this thing out so I can go source.
Yeah.
That's the main issue here.
Right. Just rent a car or rent a driver. Rent a car with a
We're
driver.
not running a driver.
Yeah.
Let me see who's here. So yes, a late show today. It's gonna be a very simple show. Why? Because I've been sick on the weekend. The immune system finally caved a little bit. Now, it's been over a year and a half, and I've seen the comments. People are like, isn't Glenn usually sick by now? He should
Yeah.
already be sick
This
by
has been
blah
the
blah blah.
long ever since I met you. This has been the longest span that you haven't gotten sick.
Yeah, this has definitely been the longest, and
Yeah.
it's on the last. Hopefully, it'll be the last day. I feel a lot better tomorrow, but
Okay.
um, and it isn't that C word.
Oh, it's not a C word.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's not that.
He's
So,
not quarantined, guys. It's not quarantine.
Kevin, what up? Let's see. Hemiz, what up? Demand misinformation, Manny Fresh, Big Money Mo, SA, Chris Online, Rachel, Sue Huskin, Select Goods, Trapal Bundy. Let me see. James, Rory, SA, Southtown Finds, Hustle and Muscle. Brian, what up? Cool Kicks. Let me see. Retrospective, Nick, Miles, what up? More people coming in. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, and we'll just do regular Q&A and kind of chill for a little bit. I don't want to go hard in the paint today because
Not too hard. Not too
obviously.
hard.
Yeah, Brian, how was sourcing? That's a good question, Rory. Jeff, what up? So there's a couple things that came into mind today. 3 M's, Mindset Monday. These also start with the letter M of a successful eBay business. Mindset technically should be number one, but we have other M words that don't
Okay.
start that aren't mindset. So we're gonna see what B thinks about it, and
Okay.
we'll go from there. This one I've kind of already mentioned. I think the second one is a really good one, and number 3 is an obvious one. So there's 3 little rankings here. So here we go. 3 M's of a successful eBay business. Number 1, modifications. You know,
Okay.
how have things changed not only from what you've done in your business till now, but even your vision and your idea of having your own business? How did that change once you actually jumped into the water? Because you can have this picture perfect idea.
Right.
Man, once I'm a full-time reseller, it's going to be all good. And then once you jump in, you're like, oh man, I'm drowning. What do I do?
Right. Right. Right.
So in the chat, what just it could be the simplest thing. What have you changed since you first started the business? I want to know. Could be a simple change. You know what? I used to take photos on my bed and I had bad lighting. I changed that. It could be simple things. I want to know in the chat. Now for me, I'm gonna go to the opposite side because B is gonna give us a business part of point of view.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you YouTube point of view. When I first started, obviously, I didn't show my face.
Mhm.
I didn't talk much. I had a totally different name, Mad Cheap Kicks. I could have ran with that and see what happened. Could have failed. I don't know. I have obviously used a different camera. I started off with my phone. So those are 4 or 5 different changes. Eventually,
Okay.
I had to make on the YouTube side of it to kind of get it going, get it growing. Now, business side, what would you say on your end? Maybe the simplest thing.
I think one of the things is process. I think you have to modify your process because it 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 definitely has to evolve even to the simplest thing as far as your inventory count, right? Like how do you store your inventory system? What was your inventory system? I mean, I remember back in the day we only had a 2 bedroom apartment. I could literally memorize where I put everything because
Hmm.
we only had 50 items to begin with. So there was no custom SKU. There was no pre-packing. There was no racks. I remember back in the second room, it was just all laid on the floor,
Yeah.
right? And then we just literally took the sticker off of the Burlington, right, on the sole of the insole, and then put it outside in the toe box. That's
Yeah.
how I knew what size it was, right? So I think, and then now you evolve on how do you ship, right? Before I individually ship items, now I use bulk shipment. So now I pre-weigh everything, so modifying the way you list, right? So I think, a lot of times is now we have gone to a point that all of our clothing is measured because I don't want to answer a DM or a message on eBay or whatever platform you're selling. Hey, what's the length? What's the width? So that's gone, right? So now we take photos of the tag. That's something that we learned from Glenn because Glenn takes a photo, so you don't have to worry about conversion.
Mm.
UK is the Euro size is there, the CM is there, and 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 that's a simple modification, but it actually solves a lot of problems, or it makes your life easier or simplified as far as dealing with customers. So I think when you think about the modification, to being successful in life and in business, I think you have to think about the process on how you get things done. What are
Yeah.
the steps that you have to do from it being bought to getting listed to getting shipped? So in between those, there's different processes or steps that you have to go through. And are those steps simple enough, or are those steps very complicated that only you can do it? Right? So now we've developed that me and my wife can do it, and now we're in a process of trying to see is like now we question our process and steps to we're working on modifying them so that if we hire a part-time person, can we explain this to her in a simple way, not in a very like you go here, there. We could be easily explaining it. This is step one, step two, step three, done.
Yeah. It's kind of weird when you first start off, like, because we probably did it too. I don't know if you did it too, but I know people in the chat definitely, maybe even still doing it. But you first start off, especially when you're buying like hoodies or clothing,
Right.
jerseys, things like that. It's like jackets. You're hanging them up in the closet until there's no more room in that closet. Like, what do you do after
Right.
that?
Right.
Like, are things in bags? Are things all over the place? Like, some of the changes. Obviously, I never really used tubs or like
Right.
labeling things
Bins.
that
Right.
way, bins or things like that. Didn't really need to. We always make fun of the change of getting like the Dymo printer. Obviously, I
Right.
wasn't using that. Um, Boxes,
Mhm.
I would make sure now, of course, getting plenty of time and to get those boxes in from USPS. Make sure I
Right.
have the right shipping stuff. Cross listing. I mean, I wasn't using Mercari as much as I am now,
Right.
and
Right. Right.
Mercari sales were great this weekend from Mercari, but you
Mhm.
know 3 years ago, even though it was there, I didn't really pay a lot of attention to it that I probably should have.
Right. Right.
There's another change, there, but I feel like if you're not testing things out or making those little modifications,
Yeah. You
how
have.
are
Yeah.
you really going to grow anyway? Because I know you don't know everything, just like I
Yeah.
don't, just like everyone in the
Yeah.
chat doesn't. So
Sure.
you got to keep making those little modifications to keep it
Yeah,
going.
and you have to. It's how you create a great product and a better service, because you have to keep evolving, and that's the reason why, like, that's why our cars, are getting better. They keep modifying them from here to here to here to here. Now we have pretty much, all the infotainment we have in our car that, 5 years ago they didn't have it. They have Bluetooth, they didn't have Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, something like that. They didn't have it. Now they have it. So it's kind of like that mentality. If you want to get better, and if you want to stay relevant in time, which is we want, especially in business, you got to keep modifying.
Yeah. I'm gonna see what the chat says. Let's see. Big Money Mo, I wake up earlier now. Hey, that's a change.
That is a change. That is one thing. I agree. Me, Friday, Saturday, I'm on point. I'm ready to leave by 9 a.m. because I know my outlets either open at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m.
And it's funny because me and B were actually talking about this like just before we hopped on, just how important getting sleep is,
Yeah.
not only for your body but for the mind. And I know, like Gary Vee is gonna tell you grind and keep going and
Right.
till you die. But the thing is, if you don't get the right amount of sleep, it could really just throw your whole game off, your whole day off, whole
Right.
game plan.
Mhm.
And sleep, exercise, obviously eating, all these three things are definitely important health wise. But um, just kind of like the same thing like what B was saying, but you just gotta, and Big Money Mo getting up earlier, I think that's
Mhm.
definitely important because now you can figure out, even if you get up earlier, you might go to bed earlier. I don't know, whatever you
Yeah.
need to do to
Well,
get that
yeah,
right amount of sleep and rest.
yeah, for me, that's why I take naps. I cannot sleep long unless I'm
Yeah.
really tired. So regular days, I only sleep 4 to 6 hours, but I take a 2 hour nap in between.
Yeah.
So figure it out. Whatever works for you best, and that's modifying, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, like us, like everything gotta get listed within 24 hours. Like who said you gotta go to bed when the sun is gone? Right,
Exactly.
we have lights, right? So that's my way of modifying. That's very simple, but it's actually bringing kind of like an urgency in my business that the most important things needs to get done, and then I'll sleep after.
Yeah. Let me see. Rory says changed his lighting, stopped buying dumb stuff, extra laced, improved my credit score, which helped me a lot. Says SA, better picks, better sourcing, better purchases, which I think Browntown finds that goes over time,
Hmm.
experience,
Yep.
selling, sourcing.
That's
Obviously, that's going to
modifying.
improve.
You're literally modifying your knowledge of what sells better and what not. Because some people still go to the same place, buy the same thing, and I'm sure it's not going to be panning out for them for the better in the long term.
Upgraded phone and photos and researched better, says Brian. Organized more, got sourcing routine down.
Mhm.
James says scale. Once you learn how to source, down growth is dependent on how you can scale up. Started selling mostly collectibles and toys. Now I've changed to more clothes and shoes.
Okay.
Select goods. That goes with
That
the
that's
testing
smart.
part, right?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
learning the niche that
Right.
not only works for you, but that you also love sourcing
Yeah.
and it's making you money. So,
Right. Right. Right.
see thermal scale and pre-packing, retrospective.
Yep.
Let me see. Where are we? Oh, uniform photos, displaying shoes, making all listings look the same. Says fly kicks.
100%. Yep. Yep.
A lot of people are just, upgrading the lighting, authentic reseller, shipping cost, inventory management. Let me see. Maybe keep going. Watch good YouTube videos like this one. Appreciate that,
There
Jeff.
you go.
Let me see. Learned a lot from you guys. Extra laced. Appreciate that. So, all right. So modifications was our number one. Number
Mhm.
two, we haven't really talked about this. I like it a lot, actually.
All right. All right.
Number two, momentum.
Oh,
Now, look, in the sports industry, sports games, you can watch NFL, NBA, whatever, right? the home crowd gets going, you're down by 20, things happen, and then like things start clicking.
Right.
Like the crowd's into it.
Right.
You're starting to hit threes in a basketball, 3-pointers, dunk,
Yeah.
excitement, like your big time dunk. Now the
Yeah.
other team has to call a timeout. They want
Yeah.
to kill that
Feel the
momentum
momentum. Right.
because it's just rolling, it's
Right.
moving, it's
Yeah.
going. And you even watch NFL, there's some times where I'm like, why would this quarterback throw this like this stupid the stupid ball this way or that way,
Mm-hmm.
even though he was doing so well in the first quarter. Fourth quarter comes around, now there's like pressure, the crowd's into it, there's more anxiety involved, there's different factors coming into play. Now they're making mistakes,
Right.
but the momentum for the defense was now rolling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So for me, I would say for like business wise and that momentum is like, what do you get into when you're just rolling? This could be, you could have momentum sourcing. I know if
Right.
you've seen it, you've done it, I've done it. Like you source somewhere and you're just hitting,
Yeah.
and you have to go to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how late it is, doesn't matter what time it is. You're in the zone. You're doing well. And next thing you know, you go to the next store, there's more items. Next store, even more. Now, next thing you know, your car's full. But you rode that momentum out because you're like, I got to keep going, got to keep going, got to keep going. Now, sometimes you have to get into the listing momentum. Listing momentum is like, you got the headphones on, you're
Right.
listening to something, you're in that zone, like nobody bother me.
He doesn't
Nobody
even
come
reply
ask me
to me.
anything.
He doesn't even reply to me.
I'm just gonna go ahead and just list. Like there's just gonna be straight listing. Next thing you know, you got a 30 items in, 50 items in, 100 items in. You're just pushing it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you can have that shipping momentum. I've seen you and the wife get into shipping momentum at 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
because, like you said, you guys have different hours that works for you guys.
Right.
And you're in that shipping zone. You're cranking them all out. And then the next morning, it's like, oh, time to go to the post office. They're out. They're gone.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
But what about the opposite end when you don't have that momentum?
Right.
You're kind of down. You're
Funk.
a little slower.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It is kind of like a funk, but you have to find your way out of that.
Yeah.
And that also has to do kind of with the mindset too, but also getting your body to like, all right, let's do this. Let's get into it. Because sometimes you might be in that funk, or maybe you'll get sick. Like I just talked about earlier. I don't know. Things happen.
Yeah. I mean, man, like you mentioned a lot about business wise, but like on the mentality side, like it's wild because like I keep thinking about, like certain moments in my journey is like, there were moments that I was like, man, I was like down and out, like down, the business is not doing well, and out of money. So that's like down and out moments, and it's like you just got like, man, like, and then you start questioning, right? Like, man, like, why did I do this, right? And then now you start like regretting, like, man, all this time I wasted, and it came out to nothing, right? And that was literally before I found eBay. I tried to start up a business with my co-supervisor, and he was supposed to quit. I quit first, and he was gonna follow, and then he didn't quit. Right, left me hanging, and then I was fronting all the money, and I was like down and out. I was like, and then I remember, like, man, I just didn't have like that thing going, right? Like, and then I would stay in bed all day and stuff like that. And then finally I told myself, like, I have to snap out of it, right? And then I think we've been here in the States for like three years during this time, and I was like, hey babe, like, I think like we just need a break. So literally I sold like 10 pairs of my shoes on eBay to buy tickets to get to the Philippines. That was my way of getting out of that funk. Got out there, sold all my shoes on eBay, made my money on eBay, went to the Philippines, stayed there for like 3-4 weeks, came back, and then literally it was that light bulb, like, wait a minute, I literally paid for that trip using eBay money. And that's when I start searching. It's like, hey, is there anybody really making money on eBay selling shoes? And that's when I found Glenn's story. So, like it was like a weird, moment in my life. I was down and out because momentum wasn't going my way. I felt like the world was against me, right? It's like here I am trying to venture out, trying to, be an entrepreneur, and then now I get like great with I had a great idea. Other people have done it in different states, was working well. Why is it not working with me? And then I think I really had to like snap out of it was dark. It was dark
Yeah.
mentally, and then my wife was like asking me like, "Are you okay? You're a happy guy and stuff like that." And that's when that's when my kind of like, it was like that mentality. It's like, man, you have to do something. And that was my one way of doing something. It's like, get out of this place, right? It wasn't really about the place. It was literally me trying to open my eyes to something different, that there has to be more than what I'm seeing now.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. Like, take that trip, take that vacation, go somewhere, see something different, experience something different than what you're experiencing right now. Because I think that's a very kind of like a very easy and tactical way of snapping out of that bad momentum, if you call it, right? Like that bad uh funk. And out of that, there will be something that you're going to realize, and hopefully get you on to the good rolling momentum.
Like Pip says, I changed my background and started using natural lighting again, boosted my listing momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And Trappa Bundy says same thing. You guys are talking about my weak spot right now, listing momentum. And
Mm.
it's kind of funny how, like, you ever seen it too, where some people need like a different motivation to start doing something. Like,
Oh, for sure.
I bought new shoes, now I'm gonna go work out, and I feel a little bit more excited because I get to break in these shoes.
Yeah,
Like, you
dude.
could buy new
That's
lighting, and then it might, ignite that back up. I mean,
100%. Like, we're on like our fourth or fifth setup. So I kind of do that, and then I'm scanning on Amazon all the time. Like, what are the new LED lighting, something like that, and then even upgrading our phones. And I think it's been like every a year and a half we've upgraded our phones. It's
yeah,
just gonna give you that excitement, right? Like, now I got a really nice phone. Let me take cool photos. That's my wife. It's like, that's all. As soon as you put more focus on what she's doing and upgrade, I built a PC. Now I want to be sitting on my desk. I built my wife a PC. Now she wants to chill there and do more work. So,
yeah.
I mean, little things like that. I mean, it doesn't have to cost a lot. You can be really resourceful and kind of like fuel that momentum.
Now, some of the questions I get, which I can't really answer because I don't have kids, but for the
Mhm.
people that do in the chat, how do you find that momentum and build upon the momentum when you do have kids and people to, of course, be with, spend time with, extra effort in? Now, some people tell me I do wake up earlier or I go to bed way later, and I
Right.
find that momentum and zone when I put the kids to sleep, or when maybe they're still asleep in the morning, they're busy doing other things. That's where I find my zone, and I get the listing done, or I get the shipping done, or things like that. So in the chat, if you have those type of experiences, how and when do you find that momentum? I guess when you're with the family and things like that. It's probably, I get it. It's hard to probably also tell people, hey, don't bother me,
Right.
leave me alone. I need to do this. I'm in the
Hmm.
zone. That type of thing. Hawaii Rams fan, I take my kids sourcing with me. My son knows what I'm looking for, and so he's also on the hunt, which is also good.
Nice, nice, nice.
I have brainstorming sessions in a dark room and think about to execute my business as SA. Our nanny helps big time, says Kent.
Hmm.
See, I find it when she's at daycare, select the goods. Miles, the fact that my kids need to eat is my motivation. And yes, I list at midnight when they're asleep. See, there you go.
Right, right, for sure.
Um, let's see, the wife does the shipping part. Hawaii Rams fan. Let me see. As a parent, I talk openly with my daughter. So there we go, Maria. I wake up early, go to bed late every night, extra laced. Let me see. The quiet time, the wife and I have a routine down. And source early, ship in the afternoon. She works late, and we make time for the family. So
Right.
there we go. Hit Ross and Marshalls. When I take the kids to soccer practice, I both play Cubs. I source 3 or 4 times a week. So yeah, you find your
Nice.
way
That's
around
pretty
the
good,
different
right?
schedules,
Yeah.
right? She knows that my work allows us to have everything we want, and sometimes we don't have fun times every day. I just wake up before them and do all my work, or wait until they leave the house. So you find your ways, to
Right.
get
Right.
that done.
And it, like in that's so true that family becomes your motivation. I've totally seen it in my life of my parents. Like growing up, we didn't have a lot, and I've seen it, like, man, like how now I'm realizing it's like, man, my parents really didn't have a lot to work with, but like look at how our family have progressed, and it was really nothing special besides hard work, right? And then finding that time, finding that moment. And then as a kid, I understood it too, that there were moments that my mom and dad had to do work, and there were moments where they've put they've put more time with us. So there will be that kind of like, when you're trying to accomplish something, there are times that you're not going to get it your way, but when they succeed on these ventures that they've done, then you gotta reap the benefits, right? Like I've seen
Yeah.
it in my life. Like now, my brother's like 10 years younger than me, and I have a youngest sister that's 15 15 or 17 years younger than me. I'm like, man, this dude didn't go through struggle. Like my brother, like, buy this, buy that, and then he gets it, right? My brother has a car, multiple cars that he can drive every day. I had to struggle, driving a motorcycle, like, like saving up so much money to get my first car. He didn't have to do that. And then, I've seen it, and they've seen it, that, they're reaping the benefits of the hard work of my parents. So I think, I've seen the perspective of, yeah, don't feel guilty if you're working hard now. And, there's definitely going to be sacrifice to be made, but know that your sacrifice is gonna pay off someday. And then obviously, when you have kids, they're gonna be the ones that are benefiting the most.
Kent Kent says every generation it gets easier. Here's a good
Oh,
example. So like when
100%.
so when I was in college, I needed a computer because graphic design, you had to learn like Illustrator,
Right,
Photoshop, and
right,
all of
right.
this. And we had no computer that had any of that. And our computers were older at home, and I was like, man, I really need a new computer. Obviously, I didn't have any money. I'm in
Mm-hmm.
college. What should I do? I asked my parents, like, what should I do? Things like that. And my mom was like, we'll get you a computer, but this is how much, because this is how much it's going to cost. This is how much the program's going to cost. And you're going to pay us back by it pretty much put me like on a payment plan. Like I had to, because I had a small part-time job, but it's like you're going to
Right.
pay this much per month until you get it paid off and all this stuff. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. I don't have a choice. Like I really want to learn and do all this. So they did it. My brother down the road, he's in graphic design too. He's going to college. My mom's like, you're going to need a new computer. Let's go ahead and get you one. And I'm like, we'd be charging his ass. Man, same thing happened to me. She's like, no, it's a different thing. Like he needs one.
Yeah.
I don't want to push it like that. Let's just go ahead and get it for
You
him.
didn't need one when you were doing
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I'm like, dude, I was on a whole plan. What the
Yeah.
hell?
Yeah. Exactly. No. No. Yeah. My brother's into motorcycles bad, and and I can't get it. Like you can get wet, you can get sweaty riding a motorcycle. He loves it, and then now all of a sudden he just starts sending me links, and I ignore, because he wants me to buy those parts, right? And then now I'm ignoring it. Like, man, these are so expensive parts. Like one was like a talk radio, so you can communicate to other riders. It was $550 for two. I'm like, really? You can just stock your cell phone? You can buy a $20 walkie-talkie or something like that. No, I was like, this one's just for motorcycle. It's really good at high speed, yada yada. And I was like, no, I'm not buying that. And it's like, no, but dad said I could order it, right? And I was like, what? Like, dad said you can buy it and he's gonna pay for it. He said, yes, just use his card. And I'm like, and I ignored him. Next thing I know, that my dad texts me, sends me the link. Hey, buy this for Kevin. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I had to wait like a year for. I mean, I've never even remembered they spent $550 on me in one time. And then this is just one part out of the 20 that he's already ordered.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? That easy? And I'm like, man, you got it so good. Because I had to get everything used before to get it cheap. And then now he's like getting brand new, everything like that. Wild. Yeah. Yeah, it does get easier every generation. Only if the previous generation worked hard.
Oh man. Let's see. Kent says
No,
plus interest.
introvert, the weaker sibling always gets free help.
Free help.
The weak,
Weaker.
the weakling.
Oh man, that's hilarious. So yeah, crazy stuff there. But yeah, back to our main thing was, yes, the momentum. And I like hearing though about everybody in the chat about having kids and where you find that
Right.
zone, that momentum. And I also love that the fact that you're also training like mini hustlers.
For sure.
To tell you that, because and I know, everybody in the chat knows, they're not going to be teaching you money in school.
Right.
They're not going to be teaching how to manage money, how to spend money, how to make money, none of that. So for the fact that you're taking your kids sourcing, you're teaching them a little bit here and there about why you're doing what you're doing and how you're making that money, being smart about money, definitely is going to make them way more responsible as they grow, as they learn, and you're going to eliminate a lot of, just the nonsense that I've seen with a lot of even the friends that I had for a long time. It's like they just do not understand the money side of it, of how to manage anything. So like Ken says, yeah, teach them life and business skills. I mean, and they're going to learn it from you. You get to set the example. And so I think that's great. And I think once they get older, they're definitely going to be, once you find that thrill of the hunt, there's no going back. And you're teaching them when they're young, they're going to want to do the exact same thing. And so
Yeah, because
start getting into the thrift stores, garage sales, things like that.
yeah, because how they see it, especially me growing up, it's like if you truly want something, you can get it. You just have to put in this amount of work, right?
Yeah.
Like it now they see the true formula of getting something. Not because some kids like some people there mentioned they're brats, right? Some kids are brats. Their formula of getting something is cry and cry, nag and nag until you get that something. But it's different for these kids that saw their parents hustle and work for something, because their formula of getting something is like figure out how much it costs, break it down to X amount of things you have to sell or amount of money you have to make. How many lawns do I have to mow? How many, shoes do I have to sell? How many of my old toys I'm gonna have to sell to get that next new toy, right? So I think that's the greatest lesson. And a lot of times is we can't even teach that. Those are things that they catch.
Yeah.
Somebody told me like the most important lessons in life can't be taught, but they are caught. So we catch it from certain people we look up to, and then we apply it to our lives because we've seen the result. Because there are things that people just pound and pound and pound, and you just don't get it. Kids just don't get it. But once they catch it, they're never going to be the same again.
Yeah. Now they catch their own momentum to keep going.
100%. 100%. Yep.
All right. We'll get back into the chat after number 3. So modifications, momentum. Here's the obvious one. Money. We're here to do this to make money.
Right.
Now, the problem is not everybody necessarily gets that part of it. Why? Because we get caught up in different things. And we've seen this. I don't know if I told you guys this story, but this happened, I think, somewhat, maybe like 3, maybe even longer, like 4 years ago. So I had a guy that was like telling me like, I'm killing it out there. Thanks to your videos, I'm doing well. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm like, man, that's cool. Like, and he starts telling me a little bit more about what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at everything and plugging in the numbers and talking with him, he wasn't making money at all. So you're probably thinking, how did this happen? How was he not making money? Well, he got very confused on, and we've seen this too on the live, where like, no, that doesn't make sense, like calculation wise. So let's say, for an example, you sell something at $45.
Right.
You bought it for $15.
Mm-hmm.
And then fees and shipping, let's say, came out to $15.
Right.
Technically, you have $15 left.
Right.
Which is your profit.
Right.
Now, what he was doing, selling at $30, bought it at $15.
Right.
And shipping and fees was $15. So where was that last part? The first part I said there's $15 profit there.
Profit, right.
Here, his $15 came back.
Right.
Which, was his cost of goods.
Yeah.
But that's not profit.
Yeah.
But for some weird reason in his head, he got it
that was profit.
Yeah, like if he was making the $15 profit, like he was doubling his money every time or something. Like it was a weird, and we kept going back and forth. I'm like, no, that's not making sense. You're getting that money back, but that's not the profit. And it just couldn't understand, and like it was back and forth until finally it's like, oh, okay, like this, okay, now it makes sense. Now I know what I'm doing. And eventually he just got out of it completely. Yeah. I mean, I don't blame him. It just that's just what ended up happening, but got out of it. But I know, the reason why we're doing this, obviously we're making money and you're building up the profit. Obviously you have to learn managing the capital, what's the ROI, cost of goods, things like that. And someone said here, intro more about FBA. There was another guy. The FBA one was the different. This guy ended up losing a lot of money because the fees were adding up big time. Like,
and storage, right? The
storage. And because there was so much, I guess, so many items, and you're bulk shipping a lot of things. This was during like the high toy seasons and things like that. He was losing money more than this guy. At least he was getting the money back. He wasn't making anything.
Money.
but this other guy, he lost some crazy amount of money doing it that way. But in the chat, any other personal experiences from there? But that's why I know it's an obvious one, but it happens, and you have to kind of really learn that on what's going on from there. And it could also throw into play, like, maybe you're not really calculating how much you are spending on gas, like we've said, gas or things like that, because that's also going to come into play. Taxes. Someone else also said they only tax you on your profits. So, taxes are also a side part of that too. But B, what do you think? I didn't let you talk yet, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think money is the blunt and honest truth, which is kind of like, that will be the measure, right? Money, I see money as a measure of the result that you're getting, the profitability of your business. And I think that's one thing that a lot of aspiring business people or entrepreneurs get it mixed up, because you have to, when you're trying to come up with a business, when you're trying to run a business, when you have a great idea, what happens is you're the most hopeful person alive. You're the most, what's that word? You're so positive. You're so
excited too.
You're so excited, right? You're so hyped, and you have to. You have to be hyped to start something. You have to be so. What's that word? It starts with the letter O.
Man. What? Optimistic? That's what Kent
says. Yes. Okay. You have to be so optimistic, right?
Okay.
Which is you're projecting something. You're projecting profit, right? And I've done it multiple times because back in the day when I wanted my parents to invest and when needed money, my parents helped me a lot. They were my venture capitalists. But the only way my parents would give me money is I presented them a business proposal of the profitability of the business.
Mm.
So I would make all these calculations. I'd sell X amount of days when I had a coffee shop. I'd sell 30 cups of coffee times X amount of money, and this will be my coffee sales. This will be my frappuccino sales, right? And then my mom and dad would question me all the time. Aren't you overestimating this? Because you're up, right? You're optimistic. You're hopeful. This
Yeah.
is the best case scenario. But what my mom told me is like, when you actually present a business proposal, yes, it's gonna look like you're gonna hit home runs every day. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your home runs in your down month and you average it out.
Mm.
What's your worst day possibility, right?
Yeah.
But when you're starting a business, you're always optimal, right? So now that's what I've learned. I've learned is when I started eBay, I was like, okay, I've learned all these lessons, failed businesses, some average, some really did well. I broke it down to how much money do I need to survive? And I translated it to how many items do I need to sell.
Yeah.
So I need $100 a day to survive, bare minimum. So that's when I came up with, okay, $60 ASP. That was my thing when I started. But I need to sell 2 items a day. So okay, so cool. I can source 2 items a day and hopefully flip it, right? Because that's kind of like how you start. You
Yeah.
buy and you try to sell it. And then at the end of the month, right? I ran my numbers weekly. I ran my numbers weekly. I mean, if you go back, I posted it. I got roasted by it because people were like, it was either I was bragging or some people were saying like, "Oh, your calculations are off," right?
Yeah.
So they can tell me now if they were off because I'm definitely not in a 2 bedroom apartment anymore. So so money was my tester. It was my temperature, right? If my business hot or cold. And then that's why eBay reminds us that in our last 31 days there's percentage there, man. That's not gonna lie. That percentage of sales, or whether you're red or green, will not lie. So
Yeah.
I think it's very important to, when you're dealing with the money or the profitability or the numbers of your business, take away that optimistic side of you. Take away you. This is that one moment you have to be a realist.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say. Be hopeful, be optimist on any other perspective in life. But when it comes to numbers, you have to be a realist because,
Yeah.
like everybody said, numbers don't lie. Right? Facebook posts will lie. Instagram photos, flex photos will lie, but numbers lie. And I kid you not, me and Glenn have seen so many people's numbers because of just helping other people. There are profitable people, but there's a lot more non-profitable people. Just like in any other business in this world, about only 30% of the businesses survive after 3 years. That's because they belly up, they lose profitability.
Well, that's also because I think people, they enjoy or they love the thought or this idea of being an entrepreneur
Right.
or having your own business. But it's kind of like what is really going on here?
Mhm.
That's when you really have to figure that out and dig deep. And to I guess going back to the other examples, I guess if this guy maybe would have reached out or maybe even gotten other opinions
Mhm.
on his store beforehand, I think he would have caught a lot of mistakes. Like I said, at least he didn't lose anything, but a lot of time and effort was definitely wasted on products that were good that he could
Right.
have
Right.
made great money on.
Mhm.
But it just didn't work out that way. And it
Right.
was probably smart just to get out entirely and maybe learn on those mistakes and to jump back in. But I don't know, and everything is different. I'm ready for Q4. Show me the money. Exactly. SA. Just like stocks, I think something like 90% of people lose money in the market, intramorph. But
Right.
the thing is, I mean, that's a very good example. But the thing is, the 10% that's highlighted in the media, in the videos, in the, articles, then it makes you feel like, oh man, they're all killing it on this.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time for that's when everybody wants to jump in when it's way too late.
Right.
And that's where mistakes start happening. But they're focusing on the ones that are winning on a small little percentage, not thinking about everybody else that failed or are failing or struggling,
Right.
In that phase. But Mr. Eric, what's up? He says, can't wait to quit.
You ready? Boy, ready. Hey, as long as the numbers line up, you're making more money, or I mean, not even that much. As long as you could live off of what your upcoming sales are. I mean, I say take the plunge, boy.
Intramorph, same with YouTubers who make hundreds of thousands or millions. A very small percentage get that far. Very true. And look at it from, we always do sports perspective just because, I mean, obviously big fan, but in the NBA, it's like, to make it in the NBA, first off, you know how to ball. I don't care if you're Brian Scalabrine, you know how to ball. You're in the NBA for a reason. You know how to play. Like, but to get that far is a very small percentage. And then not only that, like being an all-star or making certain millions, getting
real
shoe
money,
contract.
Right?
Like think about how many, millions of people that maybe just got cut off of like a G League or whatever they call it now. And then now they got to figure out what else to do in their life. Maybe they'll become a coach somewhere. Maybe they'll do something, basketball wise, but they didn't make it to the NBA, but they were 6'8", full of talent, things like that. It's a very small percentage. It's like, dude, it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I would relate it to how I always say it, like how many neurosurgeons are there that are best in the business that can operate certain operations, like opening your brain and trying to get in there, right? Like it's very small. Like, who are the best lawyers in the States, right? Like, we're talking about the top 1% of the industry, right? Even the top 10% of the industries. I mean, think about NFL too, right? As there's a lot of players in the NFL, but think about who are only among all of those who are making $1 million a year.
Yeah.
Even in a team, right? I would even say not even half of the team make $1 million, because a lot of them are minimum salary, right? Like, because they're not important roles, right? So it's hard, and I think you have to be real with yourself that if you want to make it to the top, it's gonna cost a lot of sacrifice, and in business, it's gonna cost a lot of brain juice to get there, and hard work and hustle to be really profitable, and discipline on sticking on that game plan and not wavering too easy, because the ones that they always say, if you chase too many rabbits, you'll end up not catching one.
Yeah, right. Man, Select Goods, there should be a show like Bar Rescue where a guy meets up with the resellers and yell at them about what they're doing wrong with their business.
Reseller Rescue?
Reseller Rescue. Dang, we're ready.
I'd be the best man for it. Reseller Rescue Raw.
All right, well,
no holds bar, uncut.
Resell Rescue. Let me go back. Stop buying size 50. Another good show is on CNBC is The Profit. It was popular maybe about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Millionaire Marcus Lemonis. He would go to like different businesses and kind of like see what they're doing wrong, and then he would also.
Is that the same guy that did the Bar Rescue? No.
No, he's a different guy.
Oh, okay, okay.
But I used to like watching that show too, and just kind of see like the mistakes people are making. It's funny because like people would have like a a shop where they sell cupcakes,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And then like this is how. So he would ask him every single thing, like how much does every ingredient cost
Cost, right?
to make
Exactly.
that
Right.
one
Yeah.
cupcake, right?
Yeah.
How
What's your
much? How many you're gonna
profitability?
get
Yeah.
for batches?
Yeah.
How much does the packaging cost? I remember like one lady, the packaging was like way more than everything else, and he's like, you're like losing so much money here just from the packaging, like,
That's
and
why I
it was
love.
crazy.
That's why I love Dave Ramsey. Oh, not Dave Ramsey. What? Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, okay.
Gordon Ramsay when he like was it Restaurant Rescue something like that or Hell's Kitchen something like that, right?
Yeah.
When he goes over and they're like the owner's so optimistic that they're making money but they're not. The book show they're not, and then now like they're wasting all this food and like chefs think that their food is so good but it's actually not. They're one of their worst reviewed plays, and then they literally have to. He has to break him down to understand like your food is trash. Nobody wants it, and you wouldn't even eat it. You wouldn't even feed it to your daughter. And he goes on it like I could totally see myself doing that. I was like, you really think you're gonna make $50 on this? Trash.
Trash.
The chicken was bland. Yeah, 100%. You always picking the chicken. It's dry. It's like eating cardboard. That's what he always says all the time. Kitchen nightmares. Yes. Reseller nightmares.
A reseller nightmares. Catch a broke reseller. Oh man. So yeah, good stuff. Back to the three M's of a successful eBay business: modifications, momentum, and money. Any questions, comments in the chat you want to throw in? A couple of things I want to throw in. Number one, so remember on Wednesday I told you I bought those Kobe rice. It's Kobe 6 Supreme rice, or whatever.
Right.
People told me, man, those shoes are ugly, blah, blah, blah. And so what happened was it was stranded for 8 days so far.
Mm-hmm.
eBay authentication did not accept it. It was just there waiting to get scanned in.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? I think this seller's doing something, because first he had it listed super high.
Okay.
Because to him, it's like a Kobe 6, blah, 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 right?
Hype.
He had to buy it now for like $600. And he put it on bid. So you could do buy it now or bid, right? The bid, he started it off at 200. And he had it on there for 10 days. So he's like, man, this thing's probably just going to go to the moon.
Yeah.
And nobody was like interested but me. So like I sent him offers and things like that. He wouldn't accept, didn't want to listen to it. And so I was the only bidder. So I won for $200. So it's kind of like $200. I was like, all right, steal. Only like worn 2-3 times.
Right.
And so he took like 4 or 5 days to ship it out.
Okay.
So he's taking his sweet ass time. So he was like, he doesn't want to sell these shoes. Like, I know he's taking his time on purpose. So what ended up happening was it got denied by authentication because he sent in a little ass box, which pretty much there's no shoes in there.
Yeah, that's what I said. He
so it was a fake package.
An empty package.
Exactly. With a little box where shoes would not fit. eBay authentication denied it. And so it was just a complete waste of time for the last 3 weeks.
Hey, thank you, eBay authentication. It works. Yeah, but that sucks. So they probably saw it so small, that's why they didn't even get to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they just left it in there, and they're like, well, we're not even going to take this anyway, so what's the
negative feedback.
So I'm like, man, this.
Yeah, you don't want a negative feedback from hustler hacks. Ruin it.
Like, let me make a video on like, don't buy from this dude.
Yeah, don't buy from this dude. Block this guy. Report seller.
Let me see. I almost bought a box of foam for the price of Kobe's. Man, eBay dangerous. What an ass for reals.
Yeah.
He should have just told me like, "Hey,
I don't have it.
yeah, I don't have it, or I'm not
Or
gonna
he
sell it to
probably
you."
sold it. He probably sold it for something more, or something like that, or he was trying to get away from a defect for canceling.
That's what I think it was.
But either way, he could have asked you and said, "I'll give me a refund," you're right, or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, yeah. He just didn't wanna. He didn't want to sell it for that price.
Make
Like,
a clickbait video and said, "I got scammed from eBay."
and then make that face like,
Right? Yeah. I was
I
like,
got scammed.
I can't believe
What?
it.
What I do? I'm broke now.
Yeah.
Dude, these faces on these thumbnails are getting wild. Like,
Yeah.
at some point, I mean, your subscribers, you can't believe any of this stuff at one point, I would think. Like, this is.
Yeah.
Do it. Stop that.
Hey, you have to do it. You haven't done it. Just, at least for once, right?
I hate the weirdos who do the faces. I think I have one or two of them in there that we.
You do?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't
Oh,
know
you
what else
did
to
have
do.
something like that said this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you kept sending it to me, Photoshop, making fun of it, or like, look at this stupid face.
Yeah. And then you got me like this.
Yeah.
We have to bring this back. Oh, dude, you did me wrong when you used my face like.
That's hey, we were excited though. That was a real find.
That was real face. That was real. I didn't even know, but that's what the YouTubers are trying to copy. My real excitement face.
Yeah, that was a real find. It wasn't like
yeah,
that's scammed.
No.
When all your subs are 15-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah, they just
right.
don't grow old.
Right?
Yeah. The dookie face.
Oh yeah, the dookie face.
Yeah. What is that?
All right, questions, comments in the chat before we go. Anything you want to throw in for Monday, or for anything else you want to throw in? Any ideas? Any more videos coming with other resellers? Says Darren. I wouldn't mind. The thing is like, with now that I think about it, I feel like Out Hustled was before its time. I mean, I feel like Out Hustled now, I think, would do a lot better maybe than what it did back then.
Yeah,
but
we're too advanced.
Everything is just so whack right now that I haven't even thought about like where to go, what to do. Even with going somewhere with B, like we've kind of talked about it here and there, but it's like I just don't even know what kind of new rules are gonna set in, what the fall brings in, variant stuff or what not.
Yeah.
Not only that, but at least if the outlet was on top of its game,
or having a sale, I'd risk it even if they had a sale on a weekend.
Yeah, I mean, at least give us something to look forward to from going out there. But if I'm going to dry ass stores and I could do better in my city, it just wouldn't make sense to kind of do that. But
yeah.
And of course, meeting people is also the best thing too. Meeting you guys that watch and are here, on the chat and everything, talking with us and stuff. I mean, it's always good to do that. But I don't know how's everybody else doing in their cities or their towns, their states. I know B was also. We were talking about this beforehand, but I know B was saying how like Florida was pretty bad right now, at least from. Is it your cousin or who do you know that's?
Yeah, my cousin. Yeah, she's an ICU nurse in Orlando area.
Obviously, we hear from Mr. Eric. He also gives us updates. So, man, it's just, I mean, stuff we can't control, but it's also just stuff we don't want to deal with. But like we said before,
like it's not like I haven't got it. I got it before, and like I'm like, crap, I don't want to go through that again. So just try and be safe and smart. And at the end of the day, too, it's like just really prepping for a Q4. I mean, like I keep saying it over and over again, but Glenn's gonna roll in Q4 with the most inventories ever had. we're trying to roll in Q4 with more inventory that's for the season. Uh, so just trying to be, working hard now and prepping all our products so that Q4 won't be a mess. Because it could be a mess if you're not ready for it.
Yeah. And also just being super prepared because like we've said it before, if things do get worse and
Yeah.
it kind of we start getting toward that way, a lot of people are going to be staying home, taking a lot less risks.
Mhm.
Then, you'll have that inventory online and we'll like we saw 2021. I mean, look at the big spike in people buying things online. It's definitely gone up and up and up.
Yeah.
This year would be no different. You're ready for it. You have the inventory. You'll be ready to go and ship out every day and get all the products out. So
Hmm.
let me see. Went to Walmart this weekend. There's nothing on the toy shelves. Supply chain is so slow.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of inventory is also coming in late for various
Yeah.
companies and stores. So
Yeah. And then people not having enough workers,
yeah,
I mean, overall, if you think about it, right? Like there's half of the people scared. There's more people that, there's a lot of people that pass away because of this, and people are just being cautious. So I think the workforce in general is getting hit by it, and that goes with logistics and stores. Restaurants are the worst right now. They don't have enough people to work with something. So
yeah.
I think playing it safe and being more prepared than ever wouldn't be a bad option right now.
Yeah, very true too. Just because we don't really know. I mean,
Yeah,
being a lot smarter in your buys,
yeah,
um, and outweighing the because risk and stuff. Like, yeah, of course you want to do it and go all in on things, but I think double and triple checking, making sure is this smart to do right now, where I'm at, and what people are buying and things like that. And so, like we've said it too, jackets, hoodies, sweatshirts and sweatpants and joggers and things like that. Fall's coming up quick. Everyone's saying your Q4's coming up quick. You're loading up on these things. Guarantee you it will sell, especially if Ross, the outlet, Burlington, if they start slowing down even more. You're
yep,
you're grabbing jackets. You're grabbing all the stuff for the fall. You're gonna be ready. They're gonna definitely go to your store rather
yeah,
than Ross and all these, especially if they're dry and they can't find some of that stuff.
yeah,
So you'll
hmm
be ready to go.
yeah. It's just smart to think ahead. Think a season ahead. Now that supply is back up, so think ahead. Think ahead. Keep thinking ahead because you'll never go wrong if you just think about seasons ahead. Buy off season. I think it's the best deal right now. I mean, we've seen so many people buy jackets dirt cheap,
Yeah.
and there's a reason for that, and there's an opportunity why you should buy those now.
All right. I think we are done tomorrow. We should be able to get that Thrifty Tuesday video in, see what's out there. Wednesday live show is normal, and then we'll kind of go from there. So we'll see
Cool,
about
cool.
Thursday and Friday. All right. Thanks for everybody
Alrighty.
tuning in. Mindset Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow. Go out and get